The next hand gesture that we're going to work on is going to be the profile hand view. So you can see on pages 17 through 18, and at the bottom of the page you can see what we're working towards. Go ahead and take out a blank piece of paper, and let's go back and we'll get our two hands laid out at 6 inches each. So once again, we're just doing the basic layout here from pages 13 and 14. And once you have that, we'll be ready now to start on the profile hand, step number 1. Step 1, we're going to develop the top of the hand leading out to the fingertips. D and E is going to cut off some of the wrist oval, and then you'll continue to hit A out here on the arc and at the V guideline. Now, as we had talked about before, this is your wrist width when you have a flat hand. But as soon as you go to profile view, your wrist is smaller. So if I had the width of my wrist here, switch to profile, it's a smaller distance. So at the beginning part, for D and E, we're going to trim away some of this wrist height. But by the time you come back to A, we want to also come back up to the guideline. A to B is going to scoop down inwards, and once you hit C to the fingertip, this is a straight line because that's your fingernail. Then when we move into arc at B and we're coming towards our fingertips here at C, we want to scoop downwards at B. Then this last part from C to C is just a straight line because this will be your fingernails. And F is going to be the scoop from the soft side of your profile fingernail. This is going to be where her soft part of her skin is scooping downwards. So again, this is profile view, so we're seeing it scooping down and the fingernail is straight. This is F. And this is going to be a little bit thick because it's going to represent all of your fingers stacked together. And you'll see as we go along. This next step looks really complicated because I have lots of instructions on here, but just follow me as we go, and it's actually not that difficult. So part 2 is going to develop the palm and thumb. So G and H also are cutting inside of the wrist, and then you want to quickly come down to I, which is touching the guideline. For the upper wrist, we trimmed away some of the wrist here. And the lower wrist, what we're going to do is we're going to trim away even more than what we did. So the distance from here to here, we're going to do an even larger amount here. And this is going to be G and H. I is where you're coming back down to touch this guideline, and that's going to be this part of your thumb right here. A, at the arc, you want to scoop the thumb inwards for the profile view thumb. And then from C to B and C, again, this is a straight line because that is your thumbnail. For A, we want to scoop in a little bit, and then C back to B and C will just be a straight line. And if it helps, just look at your hand and you'll get a sense of drawing these curves. J, what we're going to do is we're going to take this new trim oval, so it's smaller than the original oval, and we're going to move that oval over here to the arc of A. Before we draw the thumb heading back into the middle of the hand and connecting it with the fingertips, we need to know how wide is your hand in this area, right here along arc A. What I want you to do is back here at the wrist, starting with the bottom wrist, I want you to start from there and come back up to the original top of the wrist. So again, this wrist is a new location at the bottom, but the original location at the top. And go ahead and shade that in. This same distance here, we want to repeat it from A at that guideline coming down into the hand. So what I'll do is I'll come in here, measure it with my pencil, and again I'll move out here to A, measuring down into the hand, and this is that wrist width right here. As a beginner, if you want to be more accurate, you can always take a measurement of that, and it's probably going to be some weird number because we're just freehanding this. But whatever that measurement is, again, you can bring it out here and repeat it. And then let's go ahead and shade this in as well as a reminder that this is the same as that. And this was J. So now when we develop the curve of the thumb for K heading towards L, we know exactly how wide to make your profile hand. And then M will connect back to F. So if you want, you can come here to that new wrist at the A arc and start to do what will be your turnaround point, which will head back to your fingertips. And then this is going to come down and become her new thumb at B and C. Again, keeping in mind that this looks very thick, and it should, because that's all of your fingers stacked together. So let's label this. This was K, L, and this was M. Now that we have all of our fingers stacked together, you'll notice that your pointer finger is smaller. So at N, we need to make the pointer finger a little bit shorter, and at O, we need to bring the knuckle down and make the pointer finger a little more narrow. Now these fingertips here is the full length of her hand. Keep in mind that the middle finger is the longest finger. So our pointer finger will step down a little bit here. Also, your middle finger is thicker than your pointer, so we need to make the pointer finger a little bit shorter and a little more narrow. To do this, what we will do is for N, is we will show the pointer finger is a little bit shorter, and for O, we'll come over here and we'll put in the knuckle for that pointer finger, and then following the same scoop right here at B, I'm going to go ahead and come down and get my new pointer finger. And then for the sake of separating these out a little bit further, what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll make this middle finger have a slight little stair step between the two so you can see the separation between these fingers. Then to finish this off, if you want to, you can add a little tiny profile fingernails for the pointer finger and the middle finger. Trying to make it look like the middle fingernail is slightly bigger than the pointer fingernail, as well as down here for the thumb. Keeping in mind that eventually your hands will be so small that you probably won't draw fingernails at all. And there you have your profile hand. Let's go ahead and do the other side now together. Now that we've completed the profile hands, if you turn this sideways, you'll remember that this is going to be her left hand, so let's label this left. And if you turn this one sideways the other way, this will be your model's right hand. So let's label this right. What I want to do here is, both of these hands are the extreme version of a profile hand open. But really, when you look at models on the runway, you'll notice that their profile hand, the thumb is actually relaxed inwards. So what we're going to do is, for this right hand view, we're going to take the thumb and we're going to modify it so it's heading back up into the hand. Now the thumb itself at this point is right on the guideline here at B and C. But as that thumb closes, it's not going to travel all the way back following along B. What's going to happen is it's going to start to curve inwards. What we can do to resolve where it's heading is, in between A and B, put a mark at the halfway point, and then starting from this thumb tip, do an arc that's heading back towards this halfway point. And put a little arrowhead on there and write thumb. So now what we can do is we can have the thumb travel along that new guideline. What's going to happen is as that thumb closes, this webbing is going to travel deeper into her hand. So it's going to go well inside of that arc A. So here, if I darken in this arc A again, I want to make sure that this webbing is going to go well inside of here as the thumb is closing. So something I want to do is I want to erase here where we have the letter L from when we did the first part of the exercise. So go ahead and do this with me now. And then before we start to erase this current thumb, what we want to do is we want to start drawing where the thumb is going to go for the next part. So let's do this. From where the thumb tip is heading back towards the pointer finger, find about a halfway point, and that's going to be our new thumb tip. Keeping in mind that at first you kind of don't know where you're headed, and that's okay. We for sure want to end up down towards this area. Something else that you'll want to keep in mind is, as the thumb closes in, this palm is going to carry inwards as well. So we're not going to come all the way out to the guideline here at H and I. It's going to start to come up short of that. So if we know where her thumbnail is, and we know we're going to come up a little bit short of that, and then head back to the original profile wrist, this will be the beginnings of your thumb. What I can do now is I can just start to aim back for that area, but still keeping this kind of a thumb shape to it. And then I want to maintain this thumb thickness here. So we're going to see that same thumb thickness. Now the next thing we want to do is, as her thumb has come up into here, we're going to have the webbing also come back into here. And I want to do the same thing that we did on our profile view, or the flat hand view. So the pointer finger will dominate by having this webbing extend beyond, and then the thumb will curve up underneath it. So here I'm going to have my pointer finger come down deeper into the hand, and then the thumb will come up into there. Now at this point it's kind of difficult to see exactly what's going on. So I can start to erase my old thumb and the old thumb webbing. And down here at the palm as well, I want to get rid of this old thumb. And keeping in mind that now with this new thumb location, the palm doesn't have to go all the way to the guideline because her hand is relaxing inwards. Now that we have everything in place, basically you can see that the thumb can be a little bit longer and a little bit thicker. And what I want to do is I like how I have this placed up in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and make this thumb just a little bit longer. Come down into this and make this top of the thumb edge a little bit thicker, heading back to that wrist. Now the last part is as this thumb is coming closer and closer, we start to see more and more of her fingernail. So the hand before, we did this really slim profile fingernail. But this thumb here, what I want to do is, since it's rotating in further, I want to do more of a 3/4 fingernail. And now you'll get a better sense of where the thumb is placed. You trimmed away some of the palm down below. The pointer finger, the webbing is in front of the thumb. And all of this is traveling beyond arc A, because as your thumb is closing, that webbing goes deeper into the hand. So make these adjustments to your right hand at this time. Now that you've completed the profile view for the left hand and right hand, and you've updated the right hand to have the thumb starting to close a little bit, I want you to scan this and submit this to me as part of your grade for taking notes during the demo. And then inside of your hand's homework, you're going to want to go to pages 3 and 4, and you're going to notice that the first illustration on both sides here is the profile hand. So you'll have a left hand here and a right hand here. Again, I recommend, even though the guidelines are already on here for you, I recommend to go ahead and draw in pencil on top of these guidelines to start getting used to the feel of them, as well as doing your basic profile hand for the left hand. And then it's your choice if you want to do another basic profile hand for her right hand, or if you want to do the updated hand where the thumb is coming in more. So I would recommend to do that, but either one is acceptable.